was just interested to understand what were your top learnings and experiences as a CIO over those last couple of years. What did you really take from it?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of learnings, not just that I took from it, but many of our colleagues in different roles, and not just sort of in technology. But I think the biggest learning, quite honestly, John, that everybody learned was how to lead and manage your team in a virtual environment, because it's dramatically different, right? We all used to congregate in the office. You'd lead and manage your team in the office, your people. You'd talk to them, connect with them. They'd pop in and ask you a question. But then when everybody sort of went to the four corners of the planet, so to speak, and everybody was remote, how did we lead and manage? And trust was a huge part of leading and managing in the virtual world, because you actually weren't leading and managing people anymore. You were leading and managing outcomes. And so you trusted the people to get the job done.
I'm just wondering, as CIO of such a large business, what were the key learnings and experiences that you had over the last couple of years?
It's been a very interesting 2.5 years, very challenging in many respects, both particularly at a personal level. I think a lot of people have had a pretty tough time over the last 2.5 years. But I suppose in my role, what I really learned was just how adaptive and how creative an organization can become. I think it's well known within our business, like we wouldn't have really embraced remote working or home working pre-pandemic, and then in the space of a couple of weeks we had 600 people work from home. We didn't really miss a beat from a corporate perspective, from an organizational perspective, and I suppose for me it just demonstrated the resilience and creativity of our organization to adapt and to change in such a short space of time.
From a CIO perspective, what did you feel were the sort of key learnings that you and your team would have made over the last couple of years?
The fundamental thing for us is that an awful lot of businesses, for financial constraints or operational kind of organizational charts, didn't have a role of a CIO in the business. And I think the COVID-19 pandemic kind of showcased that quite a lot. One of the big things for ourselves is that businesses had to either accelerate a digital transformation platform, or they had to basically try and come up with one very, very quickly. And I think the role of the CIO coming into that kind of business to be able to kind of work with them from a strategic point of view, to be able to align the technology to what the business needed to do to get through COVID, was something that businesses were lacking. And I think that the CIO role became more, I suppose, understood in the industry. It became something that businesses then seem to value an awful lot more, and an awful lot of clients then that we helped as VCIOs just to support aligning that technology to what the business objectives were. And then obviously cybersecurity kind of comes into that at the tail end as well, which needed a bit of navigation and further assistance as well.
What do you think the sort of key learnings have been for you and your team and the business as a CIO have been in during those very difficult pandemic years?
Yeah, more than ever, I think this tested not only the resilience as people, but also has the need to focus in a partnership with the business, because we all know that once the pandemic kicked in, everyone had to do their things to make sure that the companies would operate, and we would carry on transforming, and in our case we were transforming. So more than ever, the alignment, the partnership with the business, so that we all could focus on the right things, it was the most important thing, and it paid off, because in our case, I say we hardly saw. The only difference from a pandemic or no pandemic was that we were all virtual.